Good evening, my friends. Today I am reviewing a book called I See Satan Fall Like Lightning, which is from the Gospels, the Bible. It is by Rene Girard. I believe that's how you pronounce it, Girard. Um, he's a professor, and he basically just wrote his ideas on, or his main thesis on why violence exists, and basically the origin of all ancient myths and all ancient religions. He basically says that mimetic contagion, mimetic violence, is the source, the origin for all human violence, and that human violence uh, is basically the source and like the main cause of the creation of ancient myths and religions. Um, I will say that he is a Christian. So in this book, he talks about all ancient religions and cultures, but he defends Christianity. He separates Christianity from the rest, and he describes in a great way why Christianity is unique, why Christianity is different, and basically why it's the best religion and what separates it from all the other religions and myths all throughout history. So he is biased towards Christianity because he is a Christian, but he does make a very great case for Christianity and its uniqueness. Um, and basically denounces all other ancient religions and cultures. He doesn't get into specifics, but he does make a general overview of what caused all of them, which is mimetic violence and mimetic contagion. And then you can get more in depth into what those exactly mean in the book. He explains it very well. But yeah, he basically, it's the only problem I have with it is one man's opinion on basically all ancient religion and myth. So you can take that as you will, but it's very well thought out. It's very well written. For Christians, I highly recommend it. For people who aren't Christian, who choose to believe in some other religion or atheist, agnostic, I do recommend it as well. But you must defend yourself from being upset that the author is biased towards Christianity. A lot of people read this and go, "Oh, he's just like a." I read some other reviews and like negative reviews, and it was people talking about how he's just a good boy, he's a good Christian. He's biased. This isn't new or anything, and I disagree with that in some ways. He is biased, but his defense for Christianity makes a lot of sense, and it's very beautiful. As a Christian myself and trying to develop my faith in the Lord and whatnot. He does open your eyes to a lot of ways that the Bible, helps degrade and get rid of violence, and how it helps connect people and helps us build our own societies, successfully, functionally. And opens it up. He really opens your eyes on how it is unique, how Christianity is unique. And of course, the cases can be made against it. He's not. This isn't like an almighty opinion. Like I said, it's one man's opinion. It's not perfect. I'm sure there's plenty of arguments that can be made to the lots of things he says in this book, but I still found it very convincing, and very profound. Lots of ways of looking at the Gospels and what Jesus did on the cross, like what specifically he did intentionally. And it kind of just opened your eyes to a lot of that, and I really appreciated that. And it was nice getting some overview or just seeing, a very profound opinion on violence too, like why it all starts, why we get mad at each other, why we're always in conflict, why humans are always in conflict. It gets into a lot of that, and he, like I said, mimetic contagion and mimetic violence. These things, I guess the source of it all is mimetic desire, and it's basically how we see someone has something and then we want it to, So, and like it goes back to one of the commandments where it's thou shalt not steal from thy neighbor or treat them. I don't know why I'm mispronouncing that, but you know what I'm saying. It's basically all violence stems from what our neighbor has. Don't lust for your neighbor's wife, stuff like that. And that's the source of all mimetic desire, mimetic contagion, mimetic violence. And like I said, I can only explain it so well. I'm kind of a moron. But the book does a very good job of explaining it all. So for Christians, I highly recommend it. For people who are trying to get in philosophy, like myself as well, I highly recommend it because even if you step away from Christianity and you're just trying to get a view into, human behavior, human psychology, this is also really good for that. I wish I had mentioned that more throughout this video. It's human behavior, human psychology, how we evolved to relate to one another and interact with one another. It gets into that too. It explains a lot of that. So overall, it's a good book. The only downsides to it is he is biased and he is just one man's opinion. So take that as you will. I hope my review was helpful, and thank you for watching.